Hey, John Burley here. Want to talk to you guys really quick. One thing I get a lot from students is they come up to me and they're telling me about all these problems they're having with a house that they're trying to renovate and rehab, whether it would be to flip or whether it would be to rent, whatever it is. And it's kind of like, I'm like, do you come from a construction background? I mean, do you work in the trades? Did your family own a construction company? They're like, well, no, I thought I'd just buy a house that needed to be rehabbed. Okay, let me help out. Do not buy a rehab if you do not know how to rehab. Now, this should be like common sense, but come on. Real estate, especially when you're new, real estate is hard enough. Let's just tell the truth. There's a lot you need to learn and a lot you need to do, and you're not going to know what you're doing until you're in the middle of it. Then you're going to figure out whether the people who taught you knew or didn't know what they knew. But look, if you don't know how to rehab, and they're telling you, oh, yeah, you just hire a contractor or a handyman, they take care of everything for you. It's like, when did that happen? In 1950? It sure as heck isn't happening in 2023. Look, it's hard just to get the guys to come out. My whole career. And I come from a construction background. My family were contractors. I worked in the trades. I've done most of the rehabbing myself. Not the best electrician guy. I know, hey, electricity's like water. It flows the same way. Yeah, but water, I just make a puddle on the floor. Electricity, I get a bad shock. Look, knowing how to rehab is a completely different set of skill set. And if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what to hire, you don't know how to get them to show up, costs of rehabbing have gone through the roof exponentially the last 5 years. So seriously, right now there's just been an epidemic of new people buying houses, spending tens and tens of thousands of dollars more than they ever should have, over rehabbing, over renovating them, and then losing money on the deals. If you don't know how to rehab, don't buy a rehabber. Find somebody who will buy it. If you find the good deal, sell it to somebody else, but don't you try and do it. The numbers are hard enough to make it happen. And look, you're going to end up having a big rehab from an insurance claim or a house that gets trashed or a fire or something eventually anyhow. You can learn then, but don't start out there. Seriously, if you're in the trades, you know what you're doing, do rehabs. If you don't. And don't just blindly rely that some contractor or handyman is going to be divinely delivered to you, who's going to be honest, straightforward, knowledgeable, and charge you fair prices. I literally see quotes, seriously, that go from $20,000 to $60,000 for the exact same job. I've been doing this for decades and decades and decades, and I have guys who've worked with me for years suddenly go bad, not show up, fall into addiction issues, personal issues, move, disabled, die, fall off the face of the earth. It doesn't matter. Rehabbing has exponentially added to the risks of the real estate deal. If you don't know how to rehab, don't. And look, if you've ever done it, like if right here was a kitchen wall or a bathroom wall, please understand, there's nothing good behind that wall. All there is mold, mildew, dry rot, and problems. If you don't know, and there's not a known problem, you can legally do your property disclosure statement and be fine. If you do know and you don't disclose, there's a problem. So seriously, when you're new, this game is a great game, but it has challenges that should be known to all. Don't buy a rehab if you don't know how to rehab. I can't be clearer. And in recent history, too, you're playing a privilege. So when I started, look, if a house was $400,000 and it needed $50,000 of work, then they took $400,000 off the price. They said, okay, it's worth $400,000 minus $50,000, $350,000, and then they priced it like $310,000 or $320,000 to give you room to negotiate and make some profit. Today, you get a house that's worth $400,000 that needs $50,000 repairs. You literally have people lining up and paying $380,000, $390,000, $395,000 for it. And a year ago, they were paying $425,000 for it. They were paying more to rehab because somehow they got the disconnect. They heard the seminar, rehabs are good and flipping's great. Flipping's great. Rehabs are great if you know how to rehab. But they forgot the part that you're supposed to get a significant discount so you can still make a profit. So literally in the last several years, we literally got a better deal buying a property that had been over-rehabbed by an inexperienced investor. Now, we know enough, and if you don't know enough, then you don't know enough. We knew enough to be able to inspect and tell whether or not they had done the rehab properly, and usually just they were over budget. Like, well, how do you know they're over budget, John? Well, I can look what they paid for it. I can look that it took them 6 or 9 months to get market. If you know what you're doing, rehabs, massive projects are 45, 60 days on a single family home. I mean, we're not talking bulldoze rebuilds here. So when they took them 9 months, I already know they don't know what they're doing to get to market, and their numbers are all backwards. You can just tell by looking at it from experience. So look, if you don't know how to rehab, just buy a house that's clean, that's newer, or has been rehabbed by somebody who knows what they're doing. If you really don't know what to do, hire an inspector. Over time, you won't need an inspector very often because you'll know what you're doing. At the end of the day, these are single-family homes. It kind of works or it doesn't. You should, after a few months, years in the business, 90 seconds to 3 minutes, be able to walk through a property. And other than glaring flaws or something hidden that your experience will show you how to look for, and we'll talk about that in other videos, or you'll hire somebody to look for it, it's pretty obvious whether it's a good or bad house in just seconds, minutes. Don't rehab if you don't know how to rehab. That's a great tip. Trust me on this one. You'll make way more money and you'll have way, way more time to enjoy life. If you know what you're doing, you're in the trades, you already know rehabs can work, but you got to know your numbers. Hey, follow me on Instagram at johnburley.com. On Facebook, join the John Burley Real Estate Investing Facebook group. Go to johnburley.com. We've got free downloads and information on upcoming events for you. And here on YouTube, like it, comment it, subscribe, and anything you want me to cover, let me know and we'll do it. Today, what we learned, if you don't know how to rehab, don't buy rehabbers. This is John Burley saying thank you and God bless. Take care, guys.